Over the last 4 years, I've done over $10 million in revenue for clients. You can stop here and see the proof wall. And you can see here I've spent over more than 650K on TikTok ads, $2 million ad account. I think this adds up to probably even more. It's £2 million actually, so $3 million. So I'm going to walk you through the top mistakes that new Facebook advertisers make. And in this video, I'm going to help you answer 4 main questions to help scale your ads. I've broken out everything in the timestamps, so press here if you want to just skip to that point. So the first question I always get is, how much should I be spending per day on Facebook ads when you're just starting out? Now, it's a really hard thing to say straight away because it's all based off your market and your sale price, right? So we'll run through this real quickly. So first thing you're going to need to understand is, what is your CPM, your cost per milli, your cost to reach 1,000 people, right? If you've got quite a high CPM, then you're going to have to change your strategy a little bit. You probably need to spend a little bit more to acquire a customer. If you got a low CPM, then you'll probably spend like $10, $20 and get your customers in. Now I built this sheet here as a little formula. So if you press the link down below, you should be able to access it. But essentially, yeah, we need to understand our CPM, your link click CTR, your conversion rate, your AOV. Right. So let's assume that for this example, your sale price of your product is $50, right? And it costs you $10. The cost of goods is $10 with tax. So you've got $40 of gross margin, okay? You can see here. Now, we've already worked out that our break-even CAC is $40, meaning that's how much the maximum we can spend to get a customer. And we know our break-even ROAS is 1.25, meaning that I have to make a ROAS of 1.25 and I'm making money. Right. Now, I like to use a rule called the 1-1 rule, the 1% rule. So if my CPM is $10, so it costs me $10 to reach 1,000 people, I'm going to assume 1% of them are going to click, right? I'm going to assume my ad creative I'm going to make 1% will click. And of that 1% will convert. So what you need to assume is, if I reach 10,000 people and out of 10,000 people, 100 click and 100 click one purchase. That's the way I like to see. So always assume that you need to at least have reached 10,000 people. If you've only reached 1,000 people, it's not good enough unless you've got a really high converting product. So that's your minimum reach you'd want to get to, okay? And that's why CPM it matters, because if we need to reach at least 10,000 people, that means I'll need to spend at least $100, right? And that's why it automatically works it out for you. Now let's look at an example where the CPM is just a little bit cheaper, and tells us, by the way, our cost per click is $1 here. So same product, same COGS, same everything, the break-even CAC is the same, break-even ROAS is the same, right? Because obviously same numbers. If my CPM is $3, then I only need to spend $30 to know have I spent the minimum amount required. Now the way that the maths is worked out, it's 10,000 people, 10 people reach you want to do, divided by $3, and then divided by 1,000. And then divided by the number of purchases. That's how it automatically works it out. So I won't get too much into details. But essentially, you need to spend at least $30. Obviously, when you start off with a new product, what you want to know is your minimum spend and your maximum spend as well. So here, what I do is I just do 5x whatever the sale price is. So if I've spent $250 on an ad and it's done 0 conversion for me, then I know I've killed it. There's no point. Especially if I follow a specific model, which will go down if I know this ad usually wins and it's a product problem, I'll just kill it. Now you can see, again, it changes across market. So let's say that, for example, I've got a CPM of $15. I have to minimum spend $150 to make sure if it works or not. Keep in mind, I've assumed the 1%, right? If you make your CTR 2%, you've halved your minimum spend. And if you've made your CVR 2% as well, so that means out of every 1,000 people, 2% of people click on, which is 20. And then of 20, to 2% of that, so I think that's maybe 4 people, 4 conversions. That means you only need to spend $25. It's a simple math equation game, and I can send you the spreadsheet about this. But it comes down to what your numbers are here. Now, if you're in a market which got high CPM, really, really high CPM, then you're going to need to make sure, ideally, you want to get your CTR above 1.5%, your conversion rate between ideally at 1 to 2%, even higher, ideally, if you're in e-commerce. And then you're going to need to look at LTV. Sometimes a lot of the bigger brands, they just break even on the front end and then sell on the back end via email. So just keep that in mind, okay? But that is how I would figure out, what is my minimum spend? Because not everyone has the same amount of spend. If I'm saying $1,000 product and a market which has a CPM of $30, I have to spend at least $300 to improve anything other than minimum. Whereas if I've got a $50 product, I might only need to spend $30 to prove it. So next next question is, why am I getting clicks but no sales or leads? So there's a few possible reasons for this. I've written them out. So you got your product, offer, delivery, not enough spend. Assuming now you've used that, you shouldn't have a spend problem. But maybe size not available, landing page, low credibility, ad creative. The way I'd look at it is the order of importance, right? I like to look at this and say, like, what is the thing that matters the most out of everything? The thing I would focus on always is the product, right? Product, ICP, and offer, like product market fit, essentially. If I've got this water bottle, right? You see this water bottle here, okay? I need to make sure, do people actually want this water bottle? Like, is it an in-demand product? Do people already buy this thing, right? Or is the value shown really well? So if I'm looking to maybe track the amount of water I'm drinking a day, and that's what I'm doing, and that's a common problem people have, the product is fine. Now, who's this for? Maybe I've designed it in a way so it's like, it's for men, like 24-year-old men, right? So it's black, you know, it's nice and shaped. So, you know, it's for people like me, for example, right? And the offer, maybe the offer is 50% off. Maybe there's some, like, it's got a 5-year guarantee, but the offer is really strong. These are 3 things I'm going to focus on first, right? If I'm getting clicks but no sales, right? I want to think, is my product like not matching my landing page? Is there like an issue somewhere? What you tend to find, I'll show you an example, is that when we were running ads for a client, it's a lead-based client, so type form submit. When we were starting out, we noticed that the cost per type form submitted was really high, $97, right? And then what we did, we launched from new creative and we managed to bring it down to 58. But I just had an inkling. I was like, I know it's an offer problem, right? Because there was already a market there. And if I'm honest, the CPM was really high. It's like $20, $30. I said, right, this is what we're going to do. We ran offer 1 and offer 2. Same thing, same exact thing, right? But we added a conditional refund, right? If you follow the system and don't get accepted, then you're going to get $1,000. So these ads are the exact same. The only thing I changed was the monetary value, like the offer. And even though that this had better creative, still it outbeat, you can see here, it outbeat and it got us $26 cost per type form. Now it's up to you how you want to do it on the back end. You might not have to be that aggressive, even put $100, right? But you can see here it's purely an offer problem, right? Now, that's why I would focus on the 3 like number 1 things. So most of the time it's going to be your product or your offer. Now there are other things, for example, if for example, you can see here that there's a huge like increase in cost per checkout to cost per purchase, like there's like a huge jump, usually then it's like, and obviously in your example, maybe you're getting add to carts and no one's thinking, or it could be like, it could be a size problem or it could be a delivery problem. These are 2 things I've seen commonly. But most of the time, like, right, if you're getting no clicks or sales, like literally start right at the beginning. It's probably going to be a product or offer problem. Get more aggressive with the offer. Split test the offer on that product. And if it's still, even with your aggressive offer still not working, then I would say, right, let's scrap it. Now, the next thing I get is how many creatives should I launch with and how do I set up like an ad campaign, like properly? Again, it all comes back down to CPM, right? So depending on your CPM and your current like conversion rates, let's say, for example, your CPM is like, say, $20, then you're probably going to want to launch with 1 to 2 ads. Now, if you've got a big budget, like you've got like $1,000 a day, then fair enough, right? But if you got $1,000 a day and then your CPM is say $20 and your cost per purchase is $100, then it's like, right, I'm going to need to like run like one to 2 ads per day, like 3. Because remember, the ad needs full spend, okay? That's why CPM is so important and so underlooked. Obviously, you can't control it, but you've got to understand, like, I need a minimum I'll spend to prove my hypothesis or not. If my CPM is cheaper, where it's like $8, I only need to spend like my ideal cost of purchase is going to be $40, right? And again, how does this model work? How does it work out? I'm doing the 1% rule. So, it's meant to be, in this example, it's 2%, but if I know my click-through rate is 1% and then my CVR is 2%, then it'll tell me. So it's like, right, if I spend $100, it's going to reach 5,000 people, then of that 50 of them will click and of that 1 will make a purchase. So I know my cost per purchase, right? So it tells me, then from that, I know how many ads I should be launching with. And that's what we did with this client here previously. Like we launched with only like 1 or 2 ads because CPM was just really, really high. Now, how you set up ad account is really straightforward. Objective is always going to be the bottom of funnel objective. 99% of what you do. So it's going to be sales or leads. And then from that, there's only a few things you can do. You can do open, interest, lookalike, or custom. Now, if you want to get really fast results, what I would do is go into Audience Manager and go and look at a warm Instagram account you've got. Whether it's yours or whether somebody else's, it's fine. Just connect in the back end on Business Manager. Press Instagram account, and then press anybody who's engaged. This will get you very, very fast results because it's targeting your most like bottom of funnel people who are already ready to buy. Like they're already in the market. You just need to show them the right, like just a quick ad or with a really just quick offer. Now, if you want to set it up, press this custom audience, scroll down. Then when you're on Ads Manager, you can just press create a lookalike. Under there, go up to 1 to 2%, and straight away you'll be able to get like at least a few 100,000 people. If you go all the way up to 10%, it's like 5 million. But if you go up to 1%, you'll be fine. Now, this again works really fast because you're just targeting the people who already follow your ideal, prospect. Now, this is only going to work for a month or two just to get you quick results. Now, if you're going to scale, it's a bit different. And keep in mind as well, the ads that you can run at this one, because they're product aware, they tend to be a bit easier. Like you can literally show a product, and if people are already in the market, they're highly likely to buy. Now, if you want ads to scale, you want to use your open and your interest. All that's doing is giving you a bigger pool of people. But again, it comes down to your creative. So how do you think about your creative? So here are 2 examples of ads that could scale to like your problem aware audience. Again, 40 grams of protein. So people who are problem aware, like they know they need to get more protein. It's really easy. And then 3 biggest problems facing gyms. That's the unawares. Even if you're a gym owner, but you're unaware of a problem, now you can scale. So this will work. And funnily enough, you can run this ad to this audience and it'll still work. It just doesn't work the other way around. It's really easy. It doesn't get more complicated than that. I know you may find loads of people trying to say, just use open, just use whatever. You can use ad sets. You can just all about creative. It's actually really straightforward. Like if I was to really put all my effort, it would be, what is the offer that I need to give to my ideal audience? I'd probably just leave it on open and then just test the offer first and product. If it works, fantastic, make more creatives. It's not a hard thing to do. How do I test and make campaigns which make me print money? Right, okay. What you'll do is you'll go down the order of importance. I'm going to show you what we would kind of do with the client, or do with even any product we would launch, right? Step 1, let's get the ICP and the offer right. What was I saying? So you need to answer these. I think there's 10 questions, 12 questions here. Like, what's the problem you're solving? Who's it for? What's the age of the market? Desired outcome. Answer those questions really, really thoroughly. It should look something like this, right? Here's an example of a pre-answered one. Let me zoom in a bit so you can get a better angle. Here's an example here of it being done properly. It should be really easy to work out exactly what your product is, what your offer is, right? And this is the exact example I showed you before. So if I just jump over back to that ad, I knew that I call this the direct offer, by the way. So if I say, if you're a student who's applying for X, here is the full value stack. And then here's your offer here. It's really easy to do that when you fully understood who is it for. Next, you want to test the market. So step 2, you want to test the market. So here are 2 ads I'd make as photos, 2 ads I'd make as videos. So these are value stack ads, and this is direct offer, which just literally talks about the product and the offer itself. So we can watch this video really quickly.
What can you get in a £300 lunch bail? To give you a few little tasters, you might get pro sport like Super Bowl, jacket, some Patagonia fleece.
You can see here it's a direct offer video. You're just testing the market. Remember, this is just go in and see what is the baseline. If I tell people what my product is, straight up, what is my cost per purchase? What am I in my ROAS? Because remember, if it's really good, fantastic, we can bring it down even further. If it's not, the aim is just to set the baseline to see, is it worth investing more in? Do you have the capital in, and so forth? But I've always found being very direct, it hits enough of problem aware people, but it also scales up enough as well. I'll run these ads for 3 to 5 days, and I want to have generated at least 100 clicks. So let's assume that no action has happened. So there was 0 sales, 0 leads, 0 add to carts. I'll check, is the landing page and tech good enough? The back end, is everything working? If it was bad, there was an issue, I will fix that issue and I will rerun it again. If everything was really good, then I will create a new product or offer and I will relaunch it. That's how I would do it. Now, if I generated 1 to 4 purchases at minimum, then I would say, right, okay, cool. And I'd look at the data and everything makes sense. I would say, let me scale the creative. So I'll go from 20 to 50 creatives depending on the person. If I get low CPA, fantastic. And then I'll just keep doing that kind of loop. If I get high CPA, I want to know, does my LTV or dash payback justify? If it does, fantastic, scale creative. If it doesn't, there's no way, then I'll go back and create a new product or offer. Very straightforward. Now, what do a bunch of creatives actually look like? I've got 24 here you can have a look at, all different variations. So the job of your creative is to convey the value of your product really clearly and really easily, right? That's what we want to get. A good creative explains the value of your product really straightforward. If your creative can call out the pain points really early, it's really easy to understand. You tend to find that those do the best. Now, remember, if you've got your product and your offer and your ICP really locked in, all you're doing now is testing different ways of showing that message. That's the point of creative. How can I show this message in a different angle? It's like I'm saying the same thing, but if I change this person 5 different times, maybe someone who's more relatable into that ad, like they're more likely to convert. That's the job of a creative. How can I say this in a different way? And now I've also got 10 photo ads as well here. So you can literally just copy these photo ads. Again, us versus them, outcomes, product with statement, so forth. Now, again, keep in mind, let's jump back to this piece here. Remember, when you're scaling a creative, you need to understand like how you scale to solution aware, problem aware, unaware people. Remember that. So when you're scaling it, you need to keep in mind, what are you trying to go for? And make sure the offer matches as well. If I try to scale this creative, no matter how many ways I would do it, offer isn't strong enough. But here, the offer, really, really strong. Here, I can make 100 variations because that offer scales up the triangle, basically, up the pyramid. Keep that in mind. Obviously, when you're doing a creative, make sure that like you're thinking of the customer and you're thinking, right, what offer can I use to reach them? Otherwise, you're going to be stuck in a loop of trying to get more creatives without understanding actually the core fundamental of like, oh, what do I need to change? Now, after releasing all these ads, my cost per purchase would have come down. Now what I want to do is sort out the CRO and set up the email flows and capture. So I would usually, here's an example of like a website, like a landing page that we've redone before. So it looks something like this. Some of our newer ones are a bit better now with some like, and then I'd add in a bunch of email flows that I'd add in here, and I would see what I can do on the back end. That is how I do it. It's really, really straightforward, really simple. Again, this is more of the launch process. If I'm going to launch someone in 6 weeks and I need to make them a bunch of cash, I'll follow this exact process. Very, very easy. I've shown you the main questions that I get asked, but feel free to ask more questions down below. I've spent over, hundreds of thousands, if not millions on ads. So I've run into every problem possible as you're scaling, as you're setting up, business manager problems, even general marketing problems. Whatever you need, just comment it below. Subscribe for more marketing content, and thank you.